Well, hey guys, I'm here at Walmart. We're gonna talk all things skincare products for face bumps. All different types of face bumps we're gonna be talking about in this video. Let's talk about ingrown hairs. They can lead to bumps, shave bumps, razor bumps, whatever you wanna call them. Basically, the hair starts growing inward, pierces the skin, and grows downward. And your hair is actually a foreign body outside of the hair follicle, so your body mounts an immune attack against it basically and forms this ball. And it can lead to a pus bump. It can be quite painful. The neck is an area a lot more prone to ingrown hairs because of all the different directions in which the hair grows. But a lot of people use these little face shavers to remove vellus hairs, aka peach fuzz, and you can also get little tiny ingrowns from these. I have a video all about best products to prevent shave bumps. Check that out, but you want to make sure you take short strokes, you don't press too hard. You always use a moisturizing shave cream or shave gel or shave oil in advance. Wet the face first to hydrate the hairs. That will reduce the formation of ingrown hairs. Speaking of shave oil, oh my gosh, you guys, Tree Hut has a birthday cake scent. I'm kind of tempted. We were just in Target the other day and I was looking for new Tree Hut scents for the shave oil. This is really good. You could try using it on the face, although if you're allergic to fragrance, you'd have to avoid. But it's nice and light. It's not greasy, even though it's marketed as a shave oil. It doesn't gunk up the razor. Now, this gadget comes with a little exfoliating mitt, and you may be tempted to mechanically exfoliate your face before shaving. I would be careful because that can generate a lot of irritation. The act of shaving is exfoliating. So an alternative is to just wash your face, honestly, with plain water is fine, or a mild cleanser, or you could use salicylic acid. What that's going to do is help to remove sebum on the skin surface and help to dislodge corneocytes, creating a smoother surface so that your razor doesn't skip around on those uneven patches of greasy shedding corneocytes, and that can help cut down on not only shave bumps but razor burn. What is this post-wax dark spot serum? Now, bumps on the face from ingrown hairs, they can heal with a dark mark, especially in deeper skin tones. Licorice root is great for that. So is Morris alba root. Now, citrus oils like orange oil actually can end up being more irritating, which you don't want. So I don't know that this is necessarily a product I would recommend, but it does have some logical ingredients to target hyperpigmentation. Now, a lot of people deal with little rough bumps with a background of redness on like their cheeks, but really anywhere on the body. It's called keratosis pilaris, rough and bumpy skin. That is a dry skin condition. You can do a little bit of light mechanical exfoliation with like a washcloth, but you don't want to go too harsh because if you scrub too much, it's going to irritate the skin barrier, lead to more dryness, and ultimately worsen the condition. I am a fan for this condition of alpha hydroxy acids because they soften the dry bumps, help them to exfoliate, but they also hydrate. They help hold water there, ultimately reducing the formation of those bumps. Speaking of alpha hydroxy acids, check it out. Biore has a new 2% glycolic acid toner. Does not appear to have fragrance. It does have tea tree leaf extract. Now, I often point out that tea tree leaf oil, like the essential oil, can be pretty irritating to the skin, especially if you use it, God forbid, don't ever use it undiluted. It can cause a burn. It has a bunch of compounds in it that can degrade upon exposure to light and be super irritating. In skincare products where they're using an extract, it's a lot less risky, and some compounds in tea tree leaf do have antifungal properties and may be helpful for like seborrheic dermatitis. Willow bark extract is anti-inflammatory, and again, glycolic acid is an alpha hydroxy acid. So if you do have rough and bumpy skin from keratosis pilaris, you may find that this type of thing helps you out to soften and exfoliate the bumps, but ultimately helping with moisture retention. Biore has not been asleep, you guys, at the wheel. They have not been asleep at the wheel, and we don't need to worry about the airbags going off because look at this. They have a new fragrance-free daily facial moisturizer with niacinamide and with bakuchiol. Bakuchiol is an antioxidant, and so that can be helpful for cutting down on oxidative stress that generates a lot of irritation and inflammation. Green tea extract is also anti-inflammatory and helps with oxidative stress, as does niacinamide. These are good ingredients if you are someone who has the skin condition rosacea, because that can be aggravated by environmental stressors, and that can lead to the formation of bumps and a background of redness. And one thing for people with rosacea, moisturizers are really helpful for cutting down on flares because they help with the barrier defect that a lot of people with rosacea have that leads to heightened sensitivity. Now, when it comes to rosacea, everyone is individualized. This could burn and sting the daylights out of your skin, whereas for someone else with rosacea, it could be like their miracle product. Move over, Paula's Choice. Look what Panoxyl has done. They have come out with a 2% salicylic acid liquid exfoliant in a background formula with blue algae extract, which algae marine extracts are super hydrating. Now, this is going to be helpful if you are someone who has comedones, which are facial bumps. This can also be helpful to use if you're someone who is prone to getting milia, little white firm bumps that can happen in areas where you have a lot of sun damage, or if you have had a procedure recently like a dermabrasion. Milia can erupt as a adverse effect from that. Milia, sometimes people find that using greasy, heavy products triggers milia. That association hasn't really been firmly clarified, but using a salicylic acid product consistently may help reduce formation of those. Likewise, salicylic acid is going to be helpful for both closed and open comedones, little bumps on the face. Check out, again, my recent video on that, but this would be a good option. I'm really excited to see that. We are not at a loss, though, for affordable salicylic acid products. Like, this is 2%, which is good for comedones, but maybe it's too irritating for you. Highly suggest this one from Cetaphil, this mattifying acne moisturizer, because it uses 0.5% salicylic acid, which when used consistently is still going to be helpful for pores, for comedones, for milia, but less irritating. And this is a very moisturizing formula. But unfortunately, there are a lot of bumps on the face that skincare products are going to do nothing for. One of them is called syringomas. They're actually little non-cancerous tumors, if you will, under the skin. And no product is going to address that. In order to target syringomas, you have to see a board-certified dermatologist. There are a variety of in-office procedures that can be done to target them. They often happen on the face, like right here, but they can also erupt all over your chest. For whatever reason, like adolescents, that tends to be more common presentation, whereas for adults, it's often like on the face. Syringomas can also be a part of other genetic skin conditions. They're basically a tumor of the sweat gland. Then a lot of people who have skin of color develop these little brown soft bumps like here. They're called dermatosis papulosa nigra, or DPNs. And skincare products will not remove those or prevent more of them from coming. They're not dangerous, but they're basically kind of related to another type of brown bump that all different skin types get, called a seborrheic keratosis. They're kind of related to that. They form on the top of the skin, and they're easy for a dermatologist to remove, but skincare products won't take care of them. Sometimes they get irritated and inflamed, and sometimes they actually do fall off, but they often come right back. So to get rid of them, skincare products are not going to do the trick. You have to see a dermatologist to have them removed. They're pretty easy to remove with simple in-office procedures, though. This Peach Slices Acne Exfoliating Toner is another great liquid salicylic acid leave-on product. It also has lactic acid, which can soften and smooth the skin surface, reducing certain types of skin bumps. Now, we talked about milia, we talked about comedones, we talked about rosacea bumps a little bit, but one thing that also can happen on your face is flat warts, especially if you shave your face, because warts are caused by a virus that gets into the skin, causes a little bump. But if you shave over the bump, you can introduce that wart virus into the neighboring skin and get more bumps. So it's not unusual to have an eruption of flat warts on the face in the area that you've been shaving. Likewise, on your leg, you can get flat warts, common for women to have them. But when it comes to getting rid of warts on the face, of course, see a board-certified dermatologist. There are certain in-office procedures and prescription medications to help get rid of them faster. If you're in otherwise good health, they eventually will go away on their own. People who have underlying problems with their immune system have more difficulty getting rid of warts, especially if you take medications to suppress your immune system because you are an organ transplant patient. Warts can just really be very stubborn. All that to say, salicylic acid is also a wart treatment. Now at 2% strength, it's pretty weak, but it's gentle enough to use on the face. Flat warts are flat, so salicylic acid has an easier time getting into them. So this can be an option for helping them to go away a little bit faster. If you don't like using the liquid toner, there's also this moisturizer. But again, similar to the Cetaphil one I just pointed out, it's 0.5%. For warts, I would stick to at least 2%, get you there faster. Here's a bump that can happen really anywhere, including your face, and it's called a prurigo nodule. Basically, if you pick or scratch at the skin in a spot, say it initially was a bug bite or a pimple, that can become thickened, and the little nerves that course through the skin, they continue to become inflamed from the constant scratching or picking. They release little itch signals that make you scratch more. It's a vicious cycle. You get this thick raised bump. It's called a prurigo nodule. Covering it with a hydrocolloid bandage can be quite helpful for hydrating it, helping to reduce those itch signals, making it less itchy, helping you to not be tempted to scratch it or pick it. And it also serves as a barrier against your fingers. Now these are probably not going to be big enough. Maybe this one. Looks like you can customize it to cut to the size of your bump. But you can also buy hydrocolloid patches in like the first aid section and do the same thing. Hydrocolloid patches are also super useful for bug bites because they can be super itchy. They protect it from losing water and becoming more irritated and ultimately helping you not scratch. They also help absorb some of the fluid, helping to flatten it out, and I swear, I take away the itch right away. Bug bites are super itchy because of your immune system coming in and reacting to the bug saliva, basically. And so anything you can do to not scratch is going to help you out tremendously in the long run because the scratching behavior makes the itch intensify and last much longer. Plus you can introduce bacteria into that bump, and that can lead to a skin infection, slow down healing, and just create a problem for you. And another bump, this doesn't typically happen on the face, it's usually on the lower legs, but another bump is often starts out as a bug bite or a shave nick. It's called a dermatofibroma. Now that is a bump that skincare products are not going to address because that bump actually involves the deeper layers of the skin, the dermis. The only way to get rid of that bump is to see a dermatologist and have it cut out. And unfortunately, the surgery to remove it, to cut it out, it leaves you with a scar that is much bigger than the bump ever was. Not to mention, since they usually happen on the lower legs, that's a body site that's very difficult to heal. The blood supply is not that great there, and so it can be a very complicated issue for you. And oftentimes you are encouraged by the dermatologist to just leave it be and do nothing. Well, we have some items here on clearance. Speaking of bumps on the face related to keratosis pilaris, is Neutrogena discontinuing the skin perfecting 7% AHA, BHA, AHA, PHA blend? This is really good, actually. Polyhydroxy acids hydrate, gluconolactones of polyhydroxy acid. They hydrate and they soften rough and bumpy skin. And then alpha hydroxy acids also soften and exfoliate. So this I always like. That was a good product. What is Verseds Just Breathe Clarifying Serum? Now, willow bark is anti-inflammatory, but it's not the same thing as salicylic acid. This does have salicylic acid in it though, which is going to be helpful for comedones, for acne. Salicylic acid can also be helpful for reducing the formation of milia. Niacinamide is anti-inflammatory. Now, some people find that for their keratosis pilaris, they do well with salicylic acid. So you kind of have to dance around and see what ends up working out for you. But the other thing I was going to point out, this has zinc in it. Topical zinc is anti-inflammatory. I have a whole video on that, by the way. This is a new line I have never seen before, Current State of Skin. Here we have a salicylic acid and green tea exfoliating cleanser. Now, if you're someone who doesn't tolerate these leave-on salicylic acid products I pointed out, you find them drying because it can be, consider using a salicylic acid cleanser. You can derive the benefits of the ingredient, but it tends to be less irritating. It also has alpha hydroxy acids, glycolic and lactic. The exfoliating cleanser is $14.97. Bubble has an acne spot treatment, 1.8% salicylic acid. Now, salicylic acid, you could use it as a spot treatment for a pimple, but It's not the most fast acting in that regard, and salicylic acid works better if you use it to the entire face, but you certainly can just use it in a spot focused area. The nice thing about this product though is that it also has azelaic acid, which is also going to be helpful for acne as well as hyperpigmentation. Azelaic acid helps also if you're someone who has rosacea, which again is a condition where you can have face bumps related to it. Papules, which are red bumps, or pustules, which are red bumps filled with pus. This also has dipotassium glycyrrhizate. That's going to be anti-inflammatory and help with redness. The thing about rosacea though, when it comes to salicylic acid, it can be pretty irritating for people who have rosacea, but it's not to say that you can't use it. So you might actually find that this product is helpful to you if you're someone whose rosacea consists of the bumps. You may actually find that this is helpful to you because of the azelaic acid, the willow bark. The salicylic acid is going to be anti-inflammatory, and if you tolerate it, it may actually end up helping you out. Whoa, speaking of azelaic acid, what has Thayer's done here? A fragrance, I'm getting prematurely excited here. Speaking of rosacea, what is this? 3% azelaic acid plus hyaluronic acid plus licorice root. Now the research that we have on azelaic acid for acne, for rosacea, for hyperpigmentation, it's using the prescription strength stuff that's 15 to 20% strength. 3% is pretty wimpy, but who knows, maybe that's helpful. We just don't have studies on it. You know, higher isn't necessarily always better. Azelaic acid can be drying and irritating, and it can burn or sting for some people, but if you tolerate it, it's a good ingredient for rosacea as well as acne and hyperpigmentation. This also has ceramides, which can be helpful for the moisture barrier. Looks like Thayer's also has a moisturizer with ceramides, fragrance free. Now if you have atopic dermatitis, aka eczema, moisturizing is really helpful to cut down on flares. People with atopic dermatitis can have bumps related to that. And it looks like they have more of a lightweight moisturizer with snow mushroom, which has hydrating properties, lots of humectants in snow mushroom. Shea butter, it helps reduce water loss. But when we're talking about acne spot treatments, benzoyl peroxide is actually, you know, it works best if you use it to the entire face for acne. If you have a pimple that pops up, painful, benzoyl peroxide is a good spot treatment in that case. It'll help it go away faster. I've used this product from Equate. It's pretty good, but it's 10%. It's pretty drying. An alternative though is to use a micronized benzoyl peroxide. So if you do have acne and you want a spot treatment for a painful pimple, try micronized benzoyl peroxide. Micronized just means that the benzoyl peroxide particles are a lot smaller, so they spread out on the skin surface a lot more efficiently and they get into the pore more efficiently. Ultimately, it's a lot less irritating and drying and just as effective. Lower percentages are just as effective as higher, but less irritating. So these are interesting facial ice rollers. Now, this can help depuff, but some people deal with urticaria, aka hives, on the face, really anywhere. But a cool compress can help cut down on hives once you start getting a flare. You don't necessarily need this jazzy thing though. This is really good for the bumps of rosacea, this rosacea gel. It is sulfur, which is anti-inflammatory and helps calm down those bumps. This is also helpful for acne as well. Well guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up all about the products for face bumps. If you guys like this video, on the end slate, I'm going to put my recent skincare shop with me video where we go through and talk all about the best antioxidant skincare at the drugstore. You're not gonna wanna miss that video. It'll be on the end slate. Watch it next, but if you like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.